listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm glad that you're here with us this morning. It is Friday, November the 24th, 2023, coming at you live here at CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, also streaming at cklu.ca. Also, the way to get it streaming off the website is you click on the Radio Player Canada app, and you can stream us right then and there. Also, you can download that same Radio Player Canada app, take us with you, and listen to us anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. And for the meantime, we're also streaming live, video streaming on facebook.com/Sudbury News and youtube.com/Sudbury News. Despite of some of the legislation, it's just we're just grateful that we are still on the air. We're not sure how long that will last, but we'll take it while we can. We'll go with the flow, and we're just grateful that we are here for the time being. We'll be here until we're, as long as we're allowed to be here. So lots planned for this morning on the show. We're going to go over news from local headlines from all of the local outlets, journalistic outlets, and we'll also do a little bit of a follow-up on the state of the economy in Canada and maybe who's behind making these decisions, and are they good decisions, just on the heels of Chrystia Freeland's economic fall update, mini budget, I guess I've seen some people calling it. Sudbury.com did an article on it. Maybe we'll look at that. But there was some praise, apparently. I wasn't hearing too much praise about it, but apparently they found some people that were praising some of the announcements in the address, and that was interesting to me. And sure, I guess there were some industries that benefit from some of their policies that they were announcing. A lot of people, though, were disappointed with the address itself and the content of it. And so we'll dive a little bit into that and a little follow-up. And what about the people that are running our country? Are they doing a good job? If so, why? How are they doing a good job? Do you notice your life getting better due to those that are making the decisions for us from on high, ruling over us as it will? So we'll talk a little bit about that. We got a little bit of sports, weather, your comments, and we'll dive right in on this Friday show. Try and get the energy up. Can't wait for the weekend myself. It's long overdue in terms of the way this week has gone for me. So anyways, let's dive right in. We'll do some weather, a little sports update, and we'll be back right after this. And as usual, Sudbury weather is brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently it's minus 16. Feels like minus 22. Yes, it's freezing. It's cold. If you've been outside already, you know all about it. And if you're driving, definitely, had to warm up your car. Some of us might have even had to plug our cars in, depending on our battery situation. Yes, it gets cold here, and that's just the tip of the iceberg at the beginning of this season. It's going to get a lot colder. We'll have some below 30 days as usual, Celsius. Today, we can expect it to be a high of -7 and sunny. So that's good news. And but wind chill feels like -24 this morning. and it will feel like a minus 14 this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, a 30% chance of flurries. So you haven't gotten away from that, even though it's bone-chilling cold. The low will be minus 11 overnight, with the wind chill minus 17. So it'll actually get a little warmer overnight compared. When I say warmer, just less cold. And a mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of flurries tomorrow. In the morning, and the high will get up to plus 2. So warming drastically compared to today and tonight. Wind chill will feel like minus 11, though, in the morning. And a look at your long range 6-day forecast. Again, chance of flurries, 30% tomorrow, have plus 2. Periods of snow on Sunday, plus 1 is your high. 40% chance of flurries on Monday, high of minus 4. And Tuesday, 60% chance of flurries, high minus 6. And a mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday and Thursday, minus 8 on Wednesday, minus 4 on Thursday. And again, anything can change between now and then, and it will. Things will change. As you can see, the weather over northern Ontario here. This was yesterday, and if we can get it to play, see what happens there. For those on the radio, just you see some clearing coming in that we'll experience today from the northwest, and it's already here. So this was last night's view of the satellite. I can't really get an updated one for some strange reason. And but yeah, this clearing you see if you're watching, that's over northwestern Ontario, is here now because it's come down to us. And that's why we'll experience some clear skies during the day. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Be back with a little bit of a Wolves update and news headlines, your comments, much more right after this. The Sudbury Wolves in action tonight at the Sudbury Arena facing the London Knights. First time and only time they will be in town. Neo Kids will be there to receive some fundraising dollars donated to Neo Kids. You want to see that. And it'll be presented by the producers of Shorzy, which are also the producers of Letter Kenny. They'll be on hand for the opening ceremonies because tonight is a special night. The Blueberry Bulldogs uniforms will be worn by the Sudbury Wolves, and that is the team on the hit TV series Shorzy. You can also purchase your own jerseys there, the Blueberry Bulldog jerseys, if you're a fan of the show or if you're not. It's a show that's produced right here in Greater Sudbury, and so we're celebrating that tonight at the game. Make sure to get your tickets at greatersudbury.ca/tickets or right at the box office. But tickets are going fast, so make sure to get there early and get your seat and take in the opening ceremonies, take in the atmosphere of the game. It's a great family event, as usual. So lots of great things always going on each game, and it's great to see the kids having such a great time at the games. Get out there, support your Sudbury Wolves or the Blueberry Bulldogs, if it will. Tonight at the Sudbury Arena, we'll be back with more of news headlines, local and abroad, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, and we are back. We have a few people joining us this morning. Maybe there's people are just getting up a little slower than usual or whatever, but we got a great little bunch on hand here. So let's give a couple shout outs this morning. Monique, good morning, Sudbury. I think that's a sunshine emoji. My eyesight, it's definitely a smiley emoji. Either way, it's positive. But there will be sunshine today, as just talked about in the weather. And Judy, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Leah, good morning. Good cold morning. Exclamation point. to the power of 3. That's true. It is very cold this morning. Belinda, good morning. So it usually has a positive statement each morning, which we look forward to. Humanity is in a rigged system. Poverty is a choice that our government willingly made for us. Okay, maybe not so positive, but true nonetheless. Usually they're positive and true, but this morning it was a little bit more just a true kind of a statement. I guess, what is the role of government? That's what we kind of tackle this morning. I myself, I'm for a limited government. Just set the rules, set the parameters, make sure things are running, and then give you space and time and all that to go out and do your thing, be the best you can be, and get out of my way, get out of people's way, let them do their thing. That's my, base. I guess if you wanted to put it on a basic level, that's my take on it. You can have your own, but that's the thing, right? What is your take? What do you feel the role of government actually is, right? We have so much of it these days: municipal, provincial, federal. Just seems to be growing. I know it's been growing at an unprecedented rate in the federal, at the federal level. Over 100,000, 160 some thousand new federal employees since Justin Trudeau took over. It's around that range, anyways. It's just like, it's like growing like weeds. And why? Like what? Like is your life getting better because of it? Has that bettered your life in any way, shape, or form? I'm not sure. Anyways, these are the questions I have, and I'm sure many others have the same. Happy Friday. Lise, thanks for joining us. Denise, morning from Espanola. I bet you it's just as cold in Espanola as it is in Sudbury this morning. And we do have some Espanola Manitoulin news this morning to go over. It seems like there's quite a bit covered by the Sudbury Star. Liette, good morning from Collingwood. Happy Friday! ! Salute Coffee Company. Stop in there. Oh, great plug, Peter. We need more plugs for local businesses, and that's another thing we'll be talking about, how local businesses have been impacted over the last 3 years, and maybe from some government policies. A lot of local businesses here impacted, right? So, salute. We salute Coffee Company this morning on the show. Thank you, Peter. Monique, greetings, everyone! ! Times 2. 3. Good morning. Happy Friday. That's from Danica. Happy Friday, Danica. Happy Friday to everybody. And Jerome, good morning. What a beautiful sunrise. And that it is. At least the clouds are out of the way so we can actually see it. Belinda says, just so tired of everywhere I look, people are really struggling. And that's true. Tired of the government of imposing poverty on people. Do you think that's kind of like the way, I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. They're kind of like they've declared poverty to people, saying they're going to fight it. The more they say they're going to fight it, that's the thing, right? The more they say they're going to fight something, it seems like it gets worse. So, the drug situation, has it gotten better since we started fighting it? Are there more people addicted to drugs now than there were then? Yeah, I think there are. We make a war on the climate. Is climate getting any better? Apparently, according to even the people that are climate alarmists, no, it's going to keep getting worse. And are we actually going to, all these drastic measures, is it going to get better? War on poverty. Okay, so is poverty getting better? That's what I mean. Just step aside, give us the tools. You go sit in your office and answer the phone and let us do the work. Let it enable us to be able to have some wiggle room to actually do things. And, that's what I mean. You're going around funding everything, starting programs. You're not the greatest at managing money, obviously. You're not the greatest at doing things efficiently. The larger something gets, the more bureaucracy there is. It's harder to do things efficiently. I don't know. That's just me again. I don't know. Am I wrong on this? So Miles says, so our government is pushing their carbon tax agenda, meeting with the European Union this week. Okay. So I guess they're going around proselytizing the ideology on the world, as Justin Trudeau has been known to do. on many levels. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Good morning from Victoria. Good morning, everyone. And positive emojis there. I think they're so small, I can't even see. It looks like, yeah, pretty cool. Okay, Brian, good morning, Sudbury campers, or good morning, campers altogether. Denise says the people have abandoned their taxes. The hall's empty. The message is for them to keep with us. We are silent. So again, I guess I could just sum that up in saying, if you go along with everything and you don't really say anything and we're silent, nothing's going to happen, right? So silence is consent. Thank you. You kind of just wrapped it up yourself there. Thanks, Denise. Good morning. Take care. Stay safe. That's David. Hope you're on a quick recovery there and everything's going well for you. And we, the taxpayer, pays for all the government spending, and that is true. We'll have more on that a little bit later. And tax is theft, and that's Monique. Now, again, a lot of our communist people that lean towards communism or Marxism or socialism, which we do have quite a few in Sudbury. We've never voted in anybody other than in terms of federal for Nickel Belt or Sudbury, right? So it's either Liberal or NDP, and NDP should be renamed the Communist Party of Canada, and now the Liberals and NDP working together. Liberals, I think, have gone even further than what the NDP would have ever gone in terms of their policies. If you look at policies, they're together the Communist Party of Canada, and that's that's not slamming them. That's not talking disrespectfully. That's not name calling. That's just understanding the type of policies they have and what type of government they are. And they'll come right out and say they agree with that type of ideology, communism, right? Like it's everything they say is communistic. If you just look up what communism is, our current government is very communist and leaning and going towards that more and more and more to a total communistic kind of style of government. A Liberals' $8 million barn. Yeah, that's true. What's up with that $8 million barn anyways? It's misspending all over the place. If you just had a show on all the misspending, and they should have put that money into the homeless. Yeah, exactly. Now, with a wealthy country like ours, you'd think there wouldn't be any homeless people and all the trees we grow that could make houses. Why do we have a housing crisis when there's so many trees, more trees than any other country, basically? Maybe other than arguably Russia. So Miles says eventually our vote will not be silent if you believe in democracy, if you believe the voting is fair as well, right? Because there are some indications that maybe there could be meddling in some of the voting processes. No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist in that way. I just think, could there be meddling? Is there a chance that people could meddle with the voting system that we have? Could there be corruption in there? Is it possible, is all I'm saying? No? If you say no, it couldn't be. Nothing could ever happen. It's perfect. Then okay, that's your view. Or yeah, it's possible, but they would never do that. That's another point of view. Or it's possible and they are doing it is another point of view, right? The more we pay taxes, the less freedom we have, kind of thing. Oh, taxes in this country are just so crushing. They're just over the top. And then Justin Trudeau wants to quadruple the carbon tax. Like the carbon tax alone, just the way it is too much as it is with inflation. And now he wants to quadruple the carbon tax. Well, that was the plan all along, right? Over $4 billion sent out of our country while we suffer. And that's another thing too. It's just the spending of this government. It's just outrageous. They just spend, and not on good things. In my point of view, has your life gotten any better? Oh, sorry, 400 billion? Wow, it's almost $500 billion. That's insane. When we start talking about these numbers, it almost loses its effect. a billion, a trillion, a gazillion. What's almost the difference when you start hearing these illions? Just money flying all over the place, but it doesn't seem like it's going to helping, everyday average Canadian people that are these taxpayers. It just doesn't seem like that. It doesn't seem like it's benefiting anybody at the base level of our existence in this country. I don't know. Lots of money going everywhere, but when something really valuable needs money, oh, we don't, sorry. Veterans, sorry. Yeah, we don't seem to have enough money for you. Seniors, oh, yeah, no. Yeah, it's just, it's going to be tough. Got to all support climate change, so everyone's got to do their part, So, it just so many things make me shake my head. And again, it's because big government, they're too big. They're making too many decisions. They're making too much money. They don't know what to do with it. That's my point of view. And you can have your own point of view too. And you do. And that's great. And you're willing and you're able to comment and give your opinion on the show. And we welcome that. And that's what it's for. Everyone has a different opinion on it, right? It's just mine. I think a lot of people also agree with my opinion. There's no doubt about it. And some people don't. So let's just get on to some of the headlines, local headlines, because we do want a little bit of time for, I guess, addressing what we kind of started talking about here on the show and coming back to that and giving some evidences, let's say, of how Canadians feel about our current government. And even though the legacy media, even they are kind of feeling tired of constantly just, even though they're getting more money as part of the new budget or whatever, they're getting bigger tax credits for more people, for journalists, for legacy media, so they can hire more people to basically not hold the government accountable because the money's coming from them. So they're basically going to get another propaganda arm, not just the CBC anymore, which is over $1 billion funding of your tax money. And hey, just a question. Listen to CBC radio, and which I know a lot of people do. It's the only talk radio you can get. So a lot of times there's not a song, and so you just want to hear something of what's going on in the world, even though it's going to be very spun in a certain way. Look at the content on there. If you took a percentage of the topics they talk about, how many are topics that I'm actually interested or reflect me as a taxpayer? It's what I'm paying for. But the topics that are on CBC and how they cover them do not reflect me. I would say maybe 5% of the way they spin a story or what they're talking about at any given time. They usually talk about very, marginalized minority issues about minorities, which is okay. And I think you need to. I think you need to hear a story about someone who was adopted and was Korean descent and then had a hard time growing up in Canada because they were from Korea and they had a hard time with the language. And but I don't need to hear that all day long, every day, about all of the exceptions to things. I'd like to hear some other things too on CBC about things that everyday people here face, because everyday people here facing everyday challenges are the ones paying for the CBC. But no, you get things that are just obscure and about all marginalized things. And hey, have you ever thought of this thing that nobody ever thinks about? And they'll do an hour on it. It's like, sure, I guess, but I don't want to be paying billions of dollars to hear that. I can easily go on Google and think of something, just go down a rabbit hole of something I've never thought about in my life before, but yeah, just everyday common sense things. But even they had a hard time with this latest budget from Chrystia Freeland. They're going, I don't know about that. Sounded like she was a little over enthusiastic from what we actually are seeing with our own eyes and hearing with our own ears in the real world. But anyways, so here's Sudbury.com has a story to start off this morning of a particular person that I knew to some extent. And headline is Tribute to a Bluesman. Sudbury's Dwayne Trudeau passes away at 48. Very young, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. For someone to pass away at 48, I would then, first thing I do when I hear a headline like that, I go, why would someone pass away at 48? That's really young. This article does not address that, which normally they don't, even in obituaries. It's hard to see the reason why someone died at such a young age, and apparently we're not supposed to ask that. So, but that's a question that I have usually when I see someone dying at such a young age. Story goes on. It feels like a gift given to you and immediately snatched away. Our fateful chance to hear a monster Sudbury bluesman, a master of the slide guitar, and then a week later, because this is the thing, Sudbury.com did a story on Dwayne Trudeau, a week before he passed away, which was really bizarre. I thought, oh, good, he's starting to get some traction because he is was, and probably still is, a sensational bluesman wherever he is now. It said a week later he was gone. Sudbury.com had just featured that monster bluesman, Dwayne Trudeau, and shared some of his music. When they learned that he unexpectedly passed away a week after the story came out, he died on November 13th at the age of 48. He leaves behind a family of 4 children and the eternal respect of Sudbury's music community. Born in April the 29th, 1975, Trudeau was originally from Wikwemkong, unceded territory, and moved to Sudbury in 1987. He told Sudbury.com in early November he began playing on the streets just to make a few bucks for diapers and ended up playing just about every stage in Sudbury. Trudeau, however, never quite made it big. Not the fame that would match his talent anyway. Because of anything, Trudeau had chops. After his death, musicians across the city took to social media to express their sadness. And I also add my condolences to his family and friends and all the Sudbury musicians who actually knew Dwayne and were fans of his talent and his music. He was sensational. Now, this is the story I have of when I first encountered him. It was Jesse Legacy of the band Sulphur City. Him and Dwayne were just sitting down on one of the the planters downtown with the cement that goes around. So they were just sitting there. Both had the guitars, and Jesse was doing the rhythm, and Dwayne was doing lead. And I was blown away. And when you just hear something that is just awesome, and music does that to us, and we all have been affected in some way, shape, or form by music. So I love the blues too, so that's probably part of it. I realized how amazing this guy was. Like, I'm walking up to them as I'm getting closer, and it's getting louder, and I'm thinking, wow, it's really good. Well, I'm expecting it to start not getting as good, right? Because maybe he just did a couple licks by accident really well. Sorry, excuse me. And now it's going to go, what I would normally expect from, let's say, a local musician who, is good, but doesn't blow my mind. But as I kept getting closer, it was just as good, if not better. He was just wailing away on the slide, and I had to wait for them to stop. I just stood there and had to wait for them to stop, and I said, wow, I just have to let you know, that is amazing. And I'm not just saying that. I'm a musician myself, and I don't give out compliments to people usually. I'm usually critical, which I don't like being. Like, I'm critical of my own stuff too, and that's not good, but music is music. But I just kind of expect, you want music to be really good. And this was, and it blew my mind. And I had to say, I just want to say that's the best slide guitar I've ever heard in my life. You are very talented, man. I just want to let you know that from the bottom of my heart. I threw a tuning or whatever into the guitar case at the time. But yeah, to lose somebody, not only just that talented, just to lose somebody, period, at that young age, I don't understand. We're losing a lot of people at a very young age these days, and relatively healthy people too. And I don't think the news, the mainstream media, is making enough of it. I see it myself. Go on the obituaries every once in a while and just look at the ages, and then try and see in the obituary if it says reason for passing away there anywhere. Very seldom you can see, while it says please make donations to the Cancer Society or something like that, or then you go, oh, it must have died of cancer. But that's where we're left, kind of just wondering, you know. And I heard too that even the Sudbury Health Unit someone here was frustrated with our data gathering on things like that, and it's coming. It's taking a long time to gather the data of what's going on with people. But again, I don't want to take away from his particular life and his legacy of what he's left us, because what a great blues musician he was, local. But so you can search his name, Dwayne Trudeau, and I would highly encourage people to do that if you love music in general, and then blues especially. Wow, I think you'll be as blown away as I was. And we lost somebody way too young, way too talented. Okay, so yes, Liette agreeing that we're losing a lot, too many people too young. On to Sudbury.news here. We're going through some of the latest news that's aggregated in real time in one location. So nowadays it's hard to find your news on Facebook. You can go to Sudbury.news. All of our local news is aggregated right on the homepage. And you got CBC, you got CTV, you got Sudbury Star. So you get a lot of local news right in one spot there. Safe Ride Home Sudbury looking for volunteers as it celebrates its 25th year. So if you want to volunteer, that's from cbc.ca. Northern Ontario industry leaders meet to share sustainable, you gotta love that word, sustainable home building practices. Dozens of professionals from across the region met in Sudbury on Wednesday to share innovative strategies for building homes during Green Economy North's Regional Business Forum. Okay. Obviously, I think we can do a better job being a lot more friendly to our Mother Earth. Always can be, but I think the whole movement of this whole sustainable thing has been hijacked, and it's just, when you hear that word sustainable, it just, for me, it rings alarm bells. Yeah, should we be doing things more efficiently? Should we be doing things better? Yes, we should be. Do I feel that there's entities that have different purposes that are pushing forward these things, so that way only certain people can gain from it? Yes, I do. It's not a conspiracy theory. I've shown that on the show many, many times. I will continue to do that. Today, we'll just keep going through the local headlines at the moment. But if you're interested in, hey, this guy just says things and doesn't back it up. Okay, well, if you just stay tuned to the show, other days you'll definitely see that when I come prepared with the information that backs those types of claims up. So here we go. Manitoulin, Espanola. Manitoulin senior charged with meth possession. This is coming from Sudbury Star. A driver who is 71 was weaving on the road, was found to be impaired, was also had meth on him. I don't know. I think that's a little old to be doing meth. I think any age is a little old to be doing any age. You shouldn't be doing meth. But anyways, police charge erratic driver on Manitoulin Island with impaired. So a Keswick resident had an open liquor bottle and a pot readily available in their vehicle. A pair from Sagamok charged after Espanola ride stop. A driver was impaired. Passenger had an edged weapon, OPP say. So it looks like they've been doing some traffic stops, Manitoulin, Espanola region, and finding, well, that's just, 3 in a couple days is way too many people to be impaired driving on the roads. Please, people, don't drink and then get in your vehicle, or be impaired in any way and get in your vehicle. It's just not cool. Not good for you, obviously, now that you got these charges, but it's just, you're just putting yourself and other people in jeopardy. So again, speaking of the speaking of Sudbury Health, they're looking at merging with the Algoma Health. Algoma Public Health and Public Health Sudbury and districts have asked the province for funding to conduct a feasibility study on merging. We talked about that a little bit. Everything is getting amalgamated. It's kind of like, it's just the way things go. And the provincial government says that's their plans going into the future. They're going to continue to do that. No strike for public elementary school teachers. They reached a tentative agreement. 80,000 elementary school teachers in Ontario public school system learned the details of their new tentative contract just recently. Let's see here. Is that about it? Looks like it. A lot of people raising money this time of year. Obviously, Christmas is coming up. Campaign raises more than $100,000 for YMCA. So Laking Group of companies, you'd know Laking Toyota as one of them. They basically matched all donations up to $50,000. So that's where we got the $100,000. So wow, that's great that Sudbury businesses can step up and help local not-for-profits, local groups that are trying to work on, a lot of social issues that we have in the community. Here's another one. Scrap Cancer Campaign in Sudbury raised more than $111,000. Money will support cancer research, vital equipment purchases, and patient care. And Black Friday. It's Black Friday today, everyone. So I don't know. Are you? Good morning, Claire. Thanks for being with us. And if I've missed anyone else as I've been going through getting the comments up on the screen that have said good morning, I usually like to just give a morning shout out back. So I apologize for that if I wasn't able to do that. Where does Black Friday come from, right? So there's a few theories. I think just one of them is that at a certain point in history, retailers looked at this time of year, mainly in the United States, Thanksgiving weekend, they get together with their families, they have some turkey, and then they shop for Christmas. And so the idea of black comes from the old bookkeeping, when you did it when you wrote out you didn't have the QuickBooks or anything back in the day, right? So you would write out your ledger, and on the ledger, if you were in debt, it would be in red because, hey, red, oh, that's not good. We shouldn't be going in the red. So if you were this season would put you in the black, so it was called Black Friday. Okay, so maybe I oversimplified it, but you can research it more yourself and look into it. But if someone was wondering where the term Black Friday came from, that's a little bit of oversimplified history for you. Now let's get into a little deep dive today, and looking into the state of the economy, why it is what it is, and I shared a short video from Tanner, and I can't pronounce his last name, Hnidey, and I've been kind of watching his videos for a while, and I think he has a really good finger on the pulse of what's going on in the country, especially federally. And so these policies and everything that are impacting us in a negative way over the last 8 years are starting to resonate with Canadians to the point I think most Canadians are fed up with it. And I think, it's even though the media, if you watched mainstream media, you'd never think that. You'd think everything is rosy. There's only a few small issues going on, nothing that would put blame on the people making the decisions anyways. They might do stories on the results of those decisions and then not connect the dots. Well, that's directly related to a policy or anything like that. So that's because they're paid from the very people making those policies, which I can see why they wouldn't bite the hand that feeds them. But it is what it is. So if you just watch the legacy media, that's all you'd get. So I like to look at things from a different perspective, and that's a perspective of reality. I'd like to look at things in as much as I can. Can't always get reality, but I like to get as much reality as I possibly can. And I find this gentleman at least is able to do that. So Tanner, here you go. And here's his take on, what Canadians are thinking of the federal situation anyways.
The Conservatives would hammer the Liberals if an election were called today. What are we looking at here, Hunter? No, it looks like a sad story in state of affairs if you're a leftist supporter, I would say. Conservative looking like a majority in their worst case scenario with 175 as the lowest number that would be likely to be achieved, and the Liberals dropping down most likely to 71 seats. I mean, that's a hefty drop from where Trudeau is today and the Liberals. And even if they joined with the Bloc and the NDP, they still wouldn't even get remotely close to that majority. So I think it's a good news projection poll day if you're a conservative. Just look even at the last couple months how the increase has been going. It started off with a Liberal majority, Liberal minority looking like it, but now look at where we're sitting today, a big disparity.
Right. People are sick and tired of Liberal government policies, of the Liberal government themselves, and rightfully so. Their programs, their plans, their objectives, their aims have hurt Canadians. They've harmed Canadians very desperately, even as inflation is roaring and the price of groceries continues to rise, and so on and so on. So this is a map, again, from 338 Canada, that describes the seat distribution in each province. And so, of course, Trudeau knows he's not going to get Alberta or Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
So there's no sense, at least in his mind, in catering to us, as in giving us a carbon tax.
Yeah.
But for Newfoundland, for PEI, for the Atlantic provinces that are more of a battleground state, Trudeau then might see opportunity to try and capture some seats or try and pick up some seats. You think an election is going to be called soon or no?
I don't think he wants one now. Looking at that latest data again, I mean, there was talks obviously a little bit ago that he was going to call it, and probably would have been a smarter move for him and his party to do it that way. But again, Atlantic Canada got swept in 2015 for the Liberals, so I think even you're seeing there that even they're starting to become frustrated with the latest, everything that's been going on. So again, I don't know whether it's a Trudeau thing or a Liberal thing or how they could get out of that mess. But I mean, even looking at the popular vote projection, to see a party with 41% safe is unheard of in our federal system that we have currently.
You think people are sick and tired of Trudeau or the Liberal government?
I think both. I think that, I mean, you look at even just polling on Trudeau, he's now, highly disliked. People don't trust him and his, policies and what he says. And just as a natural cause of that, I mean, call me crazy, but I'd say he thinks he is the face of the Liberal Party. And whether that's a good or a bad thing for them, I think we can clearly see from the numbers, it's awful. So let him remain at the helm. Don't have him resign, hopefully. And this would keep up what would happen in the election.
Well, that's just it. There's no need to interfere with your enemy when your enemy is making his own mistakes. Stay silent. This isn't a video that's supposed to champion Poilievre or the Conservative Party, but we're certainly opposed to the Liberal government. And right now, the Liberal government continues to destroy itself. They're consuming themselves alive. They continue with these Orwellian policies that Canadians can't handle. They can't financially handle them. They can't morally handle them. And that's being reflected in the polls. So this is a very encouraging thing. Even if one isn't a Conservative voter, even if one is concerned about Poilievre or other Conservative ministers, just on the grounds of we're anti-progressive, anti-socialist, anti-big government, this is exciting, because I would argue that more than this projection, more than a pro-conservative projection, I would call it an anti-liberal, an anti-socialist projection. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's even strange. Like, I mean, it's even, I heard the other day, someone was talking, it was some commentator, and it's true. He says, well, it's not the Liberal Party that they used to be or that they championed. You've now got a new Democrat-run government, basically, just under the Liberal banner. Their policies are so far to the left. I mean, even when we talked on the economic update, like all these investments that they're making are just not something that would have been done before. And so they're letting their base go and saying, we don't care about you. We're going to pander to a small select portion of the Canadians, and that shows within their projections, I'd say.
That's exactly right. You have, for example, in cabinet, Stephen Guilbeault, who's a self-proclaimed and proud socialist, deranged socialist, who obviously, because he is a socialist, hates private investments, hates private markets, hates freedom, hates individuality and individualism, and so on and so on. So to compare this Liberal government, say, to the Liberal government of old, even Pierre Trudeau leftist, which was, of course, exceedingly leftist, is an incomplete and improper comparison. This government is so much more radical than all of the other governments that have ruled before it. This government is so much more ravenous than all of the other governments that have ruled before it. People are sick and tired of everything that they're doing. And again, I think that makes complete and absolute sense. Here are the odds of an election outcome. Right now, there is a 97% chance, if an election were held today, that the Conservative Party would receive a majority. That's devastating if you're the Liberal government.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
think
and even look there.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
if you go just to the bottom of that graph, on just in about looks like it was June, right about, the Conservative chance majority was just at 10%.
Mhm.
So I mean, you see even just that major increase in the last few months here. I mean, you had a decent chance for a Liberal majority over just about 80% back in early 2022, and now here we are sitting with them at less than 1% at even getting that secured, and seeing what would that be? A 80% increase for the Conservatives' chance majority.
Yeah. So you can't disregard reality forever. Here you have the Liberals for how many months, how many years now, who have rejected reality and have forced us to reject reality along with them. They've demanded that we, for example, pay carbon taxes, even though we need to heat our homes. They've demanded that we advance our transition away from oil and gas and into alternative forms of energy, even though we can't afford it, and even though it isn't nearly reliable enough for us to comfortably survive in the minus or plus 30 that our country experiences. They've introduced all of these radically left social and moral policies that, again, disregard reality. And it's compiled into this massive titan that now people are ready to battle, people are ready to conquer and replace with something that they believe is more sane, better reflects reality itself. So I find this to be exceptionally encouraging. I don't know that an election will be called yet. I think, do you think the NDP will do anything after the budget update or the fall update?
I don't know. I mean, I did see Singh was saying that he was upset that the housing supports weren't coming in sooner and that kind of thing. But again, I think that even they can read the poll numbers and they see they're not doing well in the next election either. So again, I mean, here he's probably looking at it and going, I mean, there's no hidden fact. The NDP does not have a well-funded chest right now of financing. And so you're looking at just under 20 seats. I don't think he wants an election just as much as Trudeau doesn't want one right now. But again, time will tell if that's the case or not. Again, I think that Conservatives would be very happy if an election were called today. But again, whether that's going to happen or not, we'll see what happens with the next update coming in.
Sure, Singh is playing politics. It is exceptionally dubious that Singh would dare threaten the current benefits that his position of power in the shadows affords him. Being Trudeau's cheerleader in a sense. In exchange for a Conservative majority. So the hope is that the Liberals continue to decimate themselves and continue to make mistake after mistake after mistake. So they become exceptionally unpopular, rightfully so. And so also people become more and more involved in the political process in order to keep our politicians accountable.
Yeah. And I think that's the number one thing right there, is to get involved, whatever that means, however that looks. And even if it starts by being able to have a conversation, which we're doing now, which is beneficial. Excuse me, I'm not sure what's going on with my throat today. But so after the and I don't understand. There's a lot of people who says, "Oh, yeah, I would vote Conservative." Poilievre, I have a problem with him. I don't understand. Like, they don't have a problem with Trudeau, but they have a problem with Poilievre. Poilievre's just way of coming across is kind of cerebral. He's able to make sense when he talks. Like, is that the thing that people have a hard time with? He actually gets to the point and actually says true facts, and he just says it like it is. Is that hard? You want someone to smile at you and pretend and lie to you and do something, stab you in the back while they're smiling? Is that what you want? Or do you want someone to just say it like it is. Now, again, I'm not pro saying that. I'm just saying what I hear in the media and people talking about what I hear people say about the two different leaders is they say, "Oh, I just can't stand him," and I don't understand, right? So an example of that is him here just talking about the budget itself and aspects of it. Let's see if I got the volume up right. So listen what he said. Like what he's saying should alarm people. He's just pointing out things that the Liberal government is doing. And how could you just not like someone for doing that? Oh, I don't like the way he points things out all the time. I don't know. Interesting.
Now we learn that the $15 billion grant to the Stellantis plant will fund mostly jobs for non-Canadians, not immigrants. We love jobs for immigrants. Jobs for people who are not Canadian citizens and will not be Canadian citizens. They will come here, get a taxpayer-funded paycheck, and take it back to their country. I love South Korea. Wonderful country. But they don't fund jobs for Canadians, and we shouldn't fund jobs for their workers. Our money should fund our paychecks. Bring it home. That's why common sense conservatives are demanding a full inquiry into how many of these taxpayer-funded jobs are going to temporary foreign workers. We want a commitment that none of the money should go to temporary foreign workers, should only come to Canadians. This is a $15 billion grant to one company. $15 billion works out to $1,000 for every single Canadian family. You got 15 million families in Canada. You got $15 billion for this one company. Every family in Canada will give $1,000 to this plant. And now we know that the majority of the jobs won't even go to Canadians. Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost.
So what does that mean to you when you see that? And again, that's right from Pierre Poilievre. You might say, well, okay, I don't know what's going on here. Okay. The next video automatically plays for some strange reason. But there you go. So that's an example of, wow, so who made up that policy? Like who's going to give what would result in $1,000 per Canadian out to a particular company to pay for workers that aren't even from Canada? But that was made from the Liberal government. So again, so you don't like Poilievre or whatever, but do you look at him and say, I don't like his hair, I don't like the way he talks, I don't like his suit, and they don't really listen to what he's saying? Like, do you hear that? What he said? Like, this is a problem people have. Like they're so on one side of the coin or the other. They don't really hear things anymore. They hear their own things. Like what's going on in this country is outrageous. It's unprecedentedly outrageous of what the government's doing. It's criminal. Now, just because, you're not charged with something doesn't mean you're not doing criminal things. They're doing criminal things, but they're avoiding getting caught and being prosecuted. And I'll take that to the bank. So, I don't understand what it is. And so in the media too, the media just doesn't like Poilievre. Just doesn't. They're constantly attacking. I wish they would treat Trudeau, or watch this, treat everybody the same. Trudeau included. Singh, Trudeau, leader of the Bloc, leader of the Green Party, whoever it may be on what particular day. So treat everyone the same, but they don't. And here's an example of that. And Denise sent me this. So did Monique, I believe. Two viewers, listeners sent me this particular video. I thought, you know what? It goes along with what we're talking about today. So here's the Canadian press misquoting Pierre Poilievre, and he's putting them in their place, basically.
Do you think it was responsible for you to call yesterday's explosion by the checkpoint at the Rainbow Bridge terrorism when no U.S. or Canadian officials said that was or authorities said that was the case, and when the New York governor also said there was no evidence to suggest terrorism activity?
Actually, you're wrong. You're with CP? Okay, so CP, by the way, CP, just for everyone's knowledge, did have to make 3 corrections for falsehoods that they put into a single article. I think that might be unprecedented. I'm actually thinking about checking with the Guinness Book of World Records to see if there's ever been a news agency that has had to issue 3 corrections for patent falsehoods that they admit they had been made in one single article, and now you've made yet another falsehood in your question. Where you are wrong is that CTV reported that the government of Canada was presuming that the incident was terrorist. So, yeah, that's what I said in my remarks. You're right. It was a media report.
But it's citing media reports and not.
Which is what I said in the House. I said there are media reports.
And you think that's a responsible thing to go on? You took that kind of a statement at the time? Is that
What kind of statement?
calling something terrorist?
I didn't. I said there were media reports. No, there's no distinction. What I said, and I was right, was that there were media reports of a terror-related event. By your admission, there were media reports of a terror-related event. And that media report, according to CTV, unless you're questioning their integrity now, came from security officials in the Trudeau government. So do you think the CTV was irresponsible in putting out that tweet?
Do you think it was responsible?
Sorry, I'm asking, and I have already answered that. Do you think CTV was irresponsible to put that tweet out? Well, you just did comment. Okay. So, I just hope you're not going to print something that you have to apologize for again. I should also add, I think CP does work for CTV. So this is very awkward now, where we have CP attacking someone that they do work for. CTV is a client of CP, and now we have CP attacking CTV's reporting. This is a very awkward issue. I don't know if there's a way that the two news agencies can sort that out.
So again, Pierre Poilievre being kind of attacked in this way. I don't know, the word attacked is, I guess you can go one way or the other, whether someone feels that's being attacked. But it is. But again, if media was like this to all of the party's leaders, I actually would have no problem with it, because I think that's the way it should be. And then the leaders should be able to stand up like Pierre Poilievre just did to them and set the record straight in actually doing it, not giving talking points and going around in circles and actually never answering the question, which I think we're used to from the current leader who's in power in this country. I'd never hear him really answering the question. There you do. You hear him answering the actual question, giving facts. It's on record, so someone can go back and see if he said what he said, kind of thing. And I think we need more of that in this country now more than ever. I think I myself am sick and tired of just talking points and somebody lying to my face with a smile. And while nothing is getting better, and in fact, everything's getting worse, while you're telling me it's better, you're telling me it's sunny when it's totally cloudy out. I'm paying for you. I'm paying for you to make good decisions on behalf of me. So I'm your boss and you're fired. So done. And that's it, right? So that's the kind of position you're in when you're a public official who's been voted in, and that's the way you need to look at it, and you need to be responsible to people and accountable to people. End of story. And I think Canadians will show that if, in fact, the polls are legit. I'm just saying that. If they are, I think the polls show right now the numbers, the way they're going to go. And it's going to be refreshing. I'm indeed looking forward to just putting a stop to this train to nowhere. I don't know where it's going, but someone's got to put the brakes on before it goes off the cliff. Anyways, that's your Sudbury News for Friday, November the 24th, 2023. Thanks for being with us, everyone. Thanks for all your comments. I hope it was educational, entertaining enough show for everybody. I had a good time. I hope you did too. We'll see you same time, same station, same locations on social media, God willing, on Monday. And hopefully everyone has a great weekend. So, ciao, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the the morning shift.